This story is about 6-year-old Alesha Sarah Macphail, named Aaron Campbell, which he then proceeded to R-word and murder 6-year-old Alesha by applying pressure to her face and neck. Six-year-old Alesha from Airdrie, North Lanarkshire, was 3 days into a stay with her grandparents on the Isle of Brute. Aaron Campbell entered Alesha's grandparents' unlocked home at approximately 2 a.m. Campbell had previously bought cannabis from Alesha's father, Robert Macphail, who lived in the house also. Campbell initially entered the premises looking for drugs to steal, but found Alesha asleep. Campbell picked up Alesha from her bed and carried her to an abandoned hotel, which he then R-word and murdered her. Alesha was reported missing at 6:23 a.m. and her body was discovered by a member of the public at 8:54 a.m.
Guys, it's Aaron Campbell here again for another.
His name is Aaron Campbell, the teenager guilty of abducting, raping and murdering 6-year-old Alesha Macphail.
A timeline hours before the murder.
On 1st of July 2018, 3 days into her summer visit, Macphail was put to bed in her room at her grandparents' seafront home with a Peppa Pig DVD playing. At around 11 o'clock, Maclachlan checked on the child and noticed that she was asleep. The key was left in the front door, as was common in Rothsay. The same evening, 16-year-old Campbell invited 15 friends to his house, where he became drunk. The party finished before midnight, but at 12:30 on the 2nd of July, a friend returned and found Campbell in bed and suicidal. Campbell claimed, "I was quite upset as my mum had been arguing with me most of the night." The friend was quite worried for him and offered to stay over, but Campbell declined and said he was going to get stoned. He sent messages to several people asking if they were available to sell him cannabis, including Robert Macphail. At 1:47 and 1:48, he called Maclachlan but received no response. Intending to steal cannabis, Campbell left his house at 1:54 armed with a kitchen knife. He entered the Macphail property, roughly a 5-minute walk away, where Macphail's room was closest to the front door. When he found the sleeping girl, Campbell saw a moment of opportunity, later claiming, "All I thought about was killing her once I saw her." He lifted a drowsy Macphail from her bed, left the house without anyone noticing, and walked with her along the ocean shore. The child awoke in his arms during his walk and asked who he was. Campbell replied that he knew her father and was taking her home. He carried Macphail to a secluded location, then and murdered her. He threw his clothes into the sea, went home for a shower, then returned to the murder site to retrieve his phone. At 6 o'clock on 2nd of July, Callum Macphail awoke for work to find that his granddaughter was not in her bed and determined that she was nowhere in the house. She had never run away before, and her bike remained in the garden. Alesha's grandmother, Angela King, notified the police at 6:23, while the rest of the family began searching the local area and spreading word of her disappearance. King also made a plea on Facebook encouraging members of the public to help. Maclachlan noticed he missed calls from Campbell and tried phoning him. At 9:01, Campbell responded, "Sorry, doesn't matter," with 2 laughing emojis. When asked to look out for Alesha, he wrote, "Oh damn, I'm sure she's not went too far." Police Scotland began a hunt for Alesha, utilising a helicopter to help with the search. A Coast Guard volunteer began searching the shoreline at 6:55, where he discovered the kitchen knife near the Macphail home. Many members of the public also joined at 8:54. The police were notified by George Williams, a local man who had seen King's Facebook appeal, that he had discovered Alesha's lifeless and naked body. She was found in a wooded area within the grounds of a former hotel, a 15-minute walk from the Macphail home. Georgina Lochrain, who was 70 miles, 110 kilometers away in Airdrie, learned about her daughter's death via King's Facebook page before being escorted to Butte. A post-mortem examination was conducted on 3rd of July 2018. The autopsy concluded that Macphail received 117 injuries, some of which were caused while she was alive and some of which may have been caused by vegetation. Injuries to her neck and face indicated that she had been gripped, while injuries to her nose and her mouth indicated that she had been smothered. Her genitalia sustained catastrophic injuries. The pathologists determined her death to be the result of significant forceful pressure to her neck and face.
Scotland police charged Campbell with abduction, R-word and murder on the 5th of July 2018. He denied any involvement and pleaded not guilty. The trial lasted 9 days. The jury deliberated for 3 hours before returning an anonymous guilty verdict on the 21st of February. Lord Matthews described the evidence against Campbell was overwhelming and stated that the teenager had committed some of the most wicked and evil crimes this court has ever heard in decades of dealing with depravity. Campbell remained emotionless upon hearing his conviction.
Aaron Thomas Campbell, you were found guilty of the abduction, rape and murder of Alesha Macphail, a 6-year-old child.
A group of media outlets made a legal bid for the teenager to be publicly identified, arguing that this transparency was in the public interest. Following the trial, Lord Matthews agreed to reverse the naming restriction, a first in Scottish history due to the unique nature of the case. Campbell reappeared before Lord Matthews for his sentencing on the 21st of March. Reports prepared by Dr. Gary McPherson, a consultant forensic clinical psychologist, revealed that Campbell had since confessed to the crime in detail. He told McPherson that he was quite satisfied with the murder and said it took everything to stop laughing during points of the trial. The report stated that Campbell continued to experience thoughts of killing and having sex with children and having sex with dead bodies. Lord Matthews described the teenager as a cold, calculating, remorseless and dangerous individual, completely lacking in victim empathy, before handing him a life sentence with a minimum term of 27 years. The judge stated that this term would have been higher for an adult, but observed that reintegration or rehabilitation are remote possibilities, perhaps impossible. He stressed that the claims against Macharian were a travesty of the truth and that the young woman was completely innocent. Alesha's mother, Georgina Lochrain, shouted abuse at Campbell as the hearing ended and subsequently told the media a life sentence should be a life sentence. He should have no human rights and doesn't deserve anything because he is inhuman.
In his defense, Campbell claimed that he had spent the early hours of 2nd July procuring cannabis and searching for his lost phone. 2 young men testified that they had received messages from the defendant but did not meet him that night. Campbell logged a special defense of incrimination, in which he argued that Toni McLachlan, the girlfriend of Alesha's father, was responsible for the murder. He took the witness stand and claimed that McLachlan had sex with him in the garage on the night of the killing. He then suggested that she killed Alesha and used a condom to plant his semen on the child's body. Campbell's lawyer asserted that McLachlan was jealous of the attention the child received and that her relationship with Alesha's father was physically abusive. McLachlan denied all of Campbell's claims, adding that she loved the child to pieces. Angela King, Macphail's grandmother, testified that Alesha and McLachlan had a great relationship. Unlike the defendant, 18-year-old McLachlan was named in the media throughout the trial. Campbell answered questions for 2 hours, offering explanations for the prosecution's evidence while appearing strikingly composed, unfazed, and articulate, according to a journalist for The Guardian. He told the court that he had never met Alesha and denied murdering her by stating, "Absolutely not, I could never do that." He agreed that placing the blame on an innocent person would be evil. Campbell confirmed that he could bench press 50 kg, 110 pounds. The prosecution argued that McLachlan conversely did not have the strength to carry 22 kg, 49 pounds, Alesha from her house to the murder site.
Campbell's upbringing included elements of physical and emotional abuse, and he often argued with his alcoholic mother. He was diagnosed with ADHD and had a history of self-harming and depression. But is that an excuse for the horrific actions done to Alesha Macphail?